Hi, we're going to talk about, this is the video lesson for our Grammar 1 class today, and we're going to talk about superlative and comparative adjectives. So let's think about what adjectives do. Adjectives modify nouns. That means they tell us more about the noun or they describe the noun. So if I have a cat, cat is a noun, person, place, or thing, and I say it's a fluffy cat, then fluffy describes the cat. We say it modifies, it changes the noun in some way. It adds information, a fluffy cat. And the adjectives can also compare things. If I have two cats and I want to say, my cat is fluffier than your cat, now I'm using the adjectives to compare the cats, right? This cat is fluffier than that cat. When we are comparing, when adjectives are used to compare two things, we say they are comparative adjectives. If they're, so this cat is fluffier than that cat. We're comparing two things. If they're used to compare a number of things to one another, like of all these cats, which cat is the fluffiest? So I have 6 cats and this one is the fluffiest. I'm comparing 3 or more things. Then we say the adjectives are superlative adjectives. So comparative adjectives compare 2 things to one another. Superlative adjectives compare 3 or more things to one another. Now there are rules about how we make an adjective comparative or superlative. And they're kind of a mess, the rules. So you'll see. Let's think about 3 different situations, all of which have to do with the number of syllables in the original adjective. So remember what a syllable is. Words can be broken down into parts. The parts of the words can be defined as syllables. So if I say chalkboard, chalkboard, 2 syllables, chalkboard. If I say automobile, automobile, 4 syllables, automobile, 4. If I say folder, folder, 2 syllables. If I say carpet, carpet, 2 syllables. If I say animal, animal, 3 syllables. Okay, so if the original adjective has 1 syllable, then there's one rule we follow to make it comparative or superlative. If it has 3 syllables, there's another rule that we follow to make it comparative or superlative. If it has 2 syllables, it's a mess, and we'll see why in just a few minutes. All right, look at your handout. Here's the way we make an adjective comparative or superlative if it has 1 syllable. Okay? What we do, if it has 1 syllable, the original adjective, to make it comparative, we add ER, and to make it superlative, we add EST. So say I have the adjective quick. The quick rabbit, right? Rabbit is a noun. Quick describes the rabbit, modifies rabbit, has 1 syllable, quick. So if I'm comparing 2 rabbits, this rabbit is quicker than this rabbit. I add ER to quick. If I have 3 rabbits, I say this rabbit is the quickest of all these rabbits. I add EST. So what if I have, you can look at the examples they have here on the handout. Tall, tall is an adjective. The building, building would be a noun. If I'm describing the building as tall, tall is an adjective. If I want to compare 2 buildings, this building is taller than that building. I add ER because it has 1 syllable, tall. If I have 3 buildings and I want to say which one is I'm comparing them to one another, this one is the tallest, EST, tallest. So tall The original adjective has one syllable. If I want to compare two things, I add ER. If I want to compare three or more things, I add EST. Okay? You can look at the other examples I have there. Fat is fatter. This rat is fatter than that rat. This rat is the fattest of all the rats, fattest. Big, sad, all of those are one syllable adjectives. So we add ER if we're comparing two things. We add EST if we're comparing more than three or more things. All right, now let's think about three syllables. If the original adjective has three syllables, then instead of adding ER or EST, we're going to use more or most. So look at the adjective important. I have a man, that's a person, place, or thing, it's a noun. If I say an important man, important, three syllables. I don't add ER. I don't say this man is importanter than that man. I use more. This man is more important than that man. If I have three or more men and I'm comparing them, I say this man is the most important of the men. So instead of adding EST, I use most. I don't say this man is the importantest of all these men. I say this man is the most important of all these men. Okay, so one syllable adjectives and three syllable adjectives, the rule is pretty firm. All right, one syllable, we add ER or EST. Three syllables, we use more or most. It's when we have two syllables that things are a mess. Because sometimes for a two-syllable adjective, we use ER and EST. And sometimes for a two-syllable adjective, we use more or most. And what's more, sometimes both are right, because these adjectives are in the middle of a transition. They're in the middle of a change. I think that two-syllable adjectives used to be almost all more and most, but a lot of them have made a transition to using ER and EST. So let's look at some examples. Look at the first one, happy, happy, two syllables. So if I'm comparing, let's see, I had a happy girl. Girl is a noun. If I describe her as being happy, if I'm comparing two girls, this girl is happier than that girl. I add ER. If I say there are three or more girls, this girl is the happiest of all the girls. So I used ER or EST. I wouldn't say this girl is more happy than that girl, or this girl is the most happy of all these girls. Pretty securely, I would use ER or EST to make the comparative or the superlative. But it doesn't sound that wrong to say this girl is more happy than that girl, or this girl is the most happiest of all, the most happy of all the girls. You know, so over time, we misuse language, and the more mistakes we use the more consistently, the more a living language changes. So it could be that 20 or 30 years from now, it will be just as proper to say this girl is more happy than that girl, and this girl is the most happy of all the girls. I don't know. Right now, it's ER or EST are the correct ways. Okay, but look at busy, or let's also look at busy. Busy, two syllables. If I want to compare two things, I say this meeting was busier than that meeting, or I say this meeting was the busiest of all the meetings. I don't yet say this meeting was more busy than that meeting, or this meeting was the most busy of all the meetings. It's still not correct to say that. But look at tilted, tilted. The floor, floor is a noun. If I say the floor is tilted, right? if I'm comparing two floors, I don't say this floor is tilted-er than that floor. I say this floor is more tilted than that floor. Okay? It definitely doesn't sound right to say this floor is tilted-er than that floor. And yet, these are all two-syllable adjectives. Busy, simple, happy, tilted. Look at tangled. I wouldn't say my hair is tangleder than your hair. I would say my hair is more tangled than your hair. I don't say my hair is the tangledest of all our hairs, all our hair. I say my hair is the most tangled. So for some two-syllable adjectives, we use ER and EST, and for some two-syllable adjectives, we use more and most. All right, let's end here and come back and try some examples.